Hey everybody, welcome to our Facebook Live. It is Monday, September 8th. I had to think about it for a minute. My name is Pam Palanza, and I'm a parenting mentor specializing in behavior management, common sense for neurotypical children aged 2 to 12. And I'm glad you've joined me here. Do me a favor in the comment section. Tell me hello, tell me where you're from, and you also see a link to our Common Sense Parenting with Pam Facebook group. It's a free group. We'd love to have you join us. I think we're 1,400 members strong by now, so check it out when you get a chance. Okay, a couple other announcements before we get into our topic today. You know I'm doing this series of the 10 foundational skills all children need for success in life, and I'm doing the reels week by week on Facebook for the next 10 weeks. So we finished this past week on perseverance, teaching your child how to persevere. So that was number 3 in the 10 skills. And this week we're working on number 4, which is resiliency. You know, teach your kids how to go with the flow, how to pivot, how to handle it when things don't go their way. The ebook on perseverance is now ready. It's on my website. You can either go to my website and look in the announcement bar, or go to my store. At the top of the page, you'll see store on my website, and you can check it out there. Okay, the other thing is something new I'm starting is subscriptions on Facebook. Going to test this out. Basically, you will get exclusive videos, contents, reels if you are a subscriber, get discounts to any products that I offer, and get closer access to me. So every time I post a reel now, the link will be automatically underneath it. And so if you're interested, click it. If not, just keep on scrolling. Okay, let's get into today. And I see some people hopping on. Hi, Taylor. Hi, Alexis from the Philippines. Oh, Taylor's from Savannah. And Alexis is from the Philippines. Hello. Okay. I graduated high school 50 years ago. I know, that's like crazy, right? Well, I graduated in 76, so it's almost 50 years. And I remember a girl I met. And I didn't move to that school, to the area, until I was in 10th grade. In the middle of my 10th grade year, my family moved me from the city of Pittsburgh, where I'd been born and raised and gone to school with all the same people for all those years, to the country an hour away, where I knew nobody. Anyway, I'm getting to know people, right? And I remember this one girl. She was nice enough, and she was kind of a friend. Let me just say an acquaintance. But because of her behavior, I really didn't want to be friends with her. So she was, how can I say this nicely? Moody, very moody. And I remember one day walking in and saying, hey, and she snapped my head off about something. And I looked at her and I said, what the heck is going on with you? And she said, I'm just in a bad mood. And when I'm in a bad mood, I just take it out on everybody around me. Yeah, she really said that. So let's unpack that for a minute. Yeah, number 1, the fact that she thought that was okay to do is evidence that she did it a lot, which she did. She did it. Now, we all know we have bad days from time to time, right? Where something happens, or we're frustrated about something, we might snap at a loved one. And then we feel guilty and we apologize. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean that. That wasn't this. No. She did this on a regular basis. This was her MO. This is how she operated. Number 2, so it tells me she thought it was okay, and she must do that at home. It must have been allowed because she was so comfortable doing it everywhere else. Number 2, it's like, this is going to impact her relationships, her work, her school, her like romantic relationships, her friendships. I mean, who would want to be friends with somebody like that? She wasn't nice. It wasn't nice. And she didn't apologize for it. She's like, this is the way I feel. This is the way it is. If you don't like it, keep on walking. And I kept on walking because I didn't want to waste my time with somebody who acted like that. Okay. And she did have extenuating circumstances going on at home. Her mother apparently had died when she was very young. She was an only child. She was being raised by her father. And that doesn't excuse her behavior. It explains it maybe a little bit, but it's still not okay. And, you know, I shoot these reels all the time about parenting and teaching your children how you want them to be in the world, because they're going to grow up, hopefully, to be productive, independent, contributing members of society. And hopefully, as a parent, you've done your job from the time they were young to teach them how they are expected to behave. So when they go out in the world, things are better for them. Because let me tell you, I can assure you she probably ran into some consequences for her actions. Okay? Actions, reactions. Not everybody's going to tolerate that behavior, nor should they. And you have to set down those boundaries very clearly from the time they're young. Let me give you an example. My own children, I raised four. And my children knew that in my house, that my husband and I were parents, we were in charge, and we expected respect. That was just, we respected our children, we expected it in return. Disrespect, rolling their eyes, smart mouthing, back talking, sassing, whatever you want to call it, raising their voices, absolute, immediate, go to your room, go into another room of the house, go outside. But when you calm down and you can come back and talk, we'll have to have a discussion. But until then, go on. Now, there were times my child might have a bad day, and they come home and they're frustrated, and I know it's like a one-off, and I'll go, what's going on? This is not your normal behavior. Let's talk. Are you okay? So we have that discussion then. But day to day, if they acted that way, that was not being tolerated in my house. They were okay. They were allowed to have those feelings. Don't get me wrong. We all have feelings, right? We're happy, we're sad, we're mad, we're angry, we're frustrated, we're disappointed. That's okay. It's okay. It's human to have those feelings, and you should not suppress those in your children. However, you should teach them how to regulate themselves and how to control that so that they're not going and spewing it all over everybody like she did. Okay, and I imagine to this day she probably is doing it. And my kids knew that, so then they come back and we have a discussion. Here's another example. I had my 8-year-old grandson in the car the other day. I picked him up from school. He's in the back. I can see him in the rearview mirror, right? And we're talking about something. He wanted me to go get something for him or do something, and I said, no, we're not going to be doing that today. Well, he doesn't know that I can see him in the mirror, and he's like, and he's going like squinting his eyes at me, and he muttered something under his breath, and then he's like, ugh. And I just very calmly said, I'm your grandmother. You will speak to me with respect. That is not working. And he goes, what? I said, rolling your eyes and cutting your eyes at me and making those faces? That doesn't work. He's like, you can see me? I was like, you see this mirror that I can see myself in? I can also see you back there, buddy. Immediately, I nipped that in the bud. Instantly. It's okay you're upset. It's okay you're frustrated, but you will not act like that. Okay? You have to do that from the time they're little. You have to be consistent with them. Because if you don't, if you teach them it's okay to spew your feelings everywhere, and I know people talk about their children have big feelings, they have to express them, they're entitled to share them with everybody. In your home, sure. If you want to tolerate that in your home and let them act that way, that's fine. But then when they go out in the world and they pull that stuff at school or in a relationship, or they're driving down the road and they get a speeding ticket and they're arguing with the cop and now they get mouthy and the cop arrests them, or they say something hateful to somebody and they get punched in the face. Okay, now that's extreme examples, but that's reactions to action because they've not controlled themselves. And when I hear teachers telling me, and I have a lot of teachers who are followers, and God bless you all, that children are so disrespectful to them, talk back to them, try to negotiate with them, argue with them, you know what I know? That's allowed in the home. That's permitted in the home. And I'm sorry, I don't care what you try to tell me, that's permitted in the home. Because they wouldn't dare do it at school if they weren't comfortable doing it at home. Okay? And my children knew if you went to school and the teacher told you something, you better listen. And if you got in trouble at school, you will be in trouble when you get home. Now, yes, I would find out both sides of the story. But my children were taught respect from the time they were little. And that respect applied outside of our home, not just in the home. Okay? Is this making sense? If this is making sense to you, put yes in the comment section. Okay? Let me go in here and see. We only have a few minutes left. Let me go in here and see. And you know what? And number 9 and number 10 of my 10 foundational skills, one is on self-control and the other one's on emotional regulation. And when I do these reels, so I do 10 a week. So I'll start with one subject, 10 a week, Monday through Friday, 6 a to 6 p. And they're short, quick reels. At the end of every week, I have the option of you purchasing an ebook that goes into much more detail. There'll be like 50 tips that expand on that topic that week. So you're free to purchase it or not. The reels are like the appetizer, and then the ebook is like the dinner, where I really get into and give you examples, exactly what to say, exactly what to do. Because people ask me, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. And if you've not been raised that way, this is your opportunity to learn how to. Because I'm all about common sense, positive parenting for your children. You're the parent, you're in charge, your children are not. And they need to learn that young. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Pam from Arkansas, hello. Sharika from Durham, hey girl, I'm in Wilmington. Not that far away. Rhoda from Canada, hello. Kendra, do you have any advice on kiddos with DMDD? I do not. I don't even honestly know what that means. I'm about neurotypical. Not that what I say does not apply to neurodivergent children, but I do not have that expertise. I wouldn't even try to hazard a guess on that one. Okay, Sherry from Texas, hello. Melissa from Louisiana, hello. Mitch from the Philippines. Precious, gotcha. I don't know where you're from, Precious, but hello, welcome. Cheryl, Sharika, yes, yes, yes. Okay, so this is making sense, guys, right? Okay, waving from the Philippines. Rossell, I hope I'm saying that right. First-time mom, congratulations. Yeah, start them young, girls, start them young. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, Orion, I'm not sure how I'm saying that right. You have a question. Do you think vaccines can cause a decline in toddlers? I honestly don't know on that one. I'm not even going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole. Okay, Carolyn from Canada, and then let's see, Sherry, your retired teacher here. Not only disrespect, but the accountability of their actions. Oh, girl, that is an entire, I have done reels about that. I could talk about that for days. And that is why the very first foundational skill that I did the whole series on was about accountability. Because parents make so many excuses for their children's poor behavior. It is appalling to me. We'd have never gotten away with that growing up. And my parents, I'm a boomer. I did a reel about this the other day. I was not spanked, yelled at, abused in any way. Neither did I raise my children that way. And parents today let their kids get away with way too much, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm with you on that one. Cheryl, you're from Pennsylvania. I was born in Pittsburgh, girl. Okay, let's see, accountability. Okay, good. All right, so think about what I'm saying, because, people sometimes have this impression that when their kids are little, things are cute. That's cute when they roll their eyes at me, or that's cute when they talk back to me, or they're sassy. No, it's not. It's not cute at all. It's very disrespectful. And as a parent, you deserve better than that from your child. And you need to teach them that, because children are going to only act the way you allow them to. So if you allow that in your home, you allow them to talk back to you, you allow them to disrespect you, and then they grow up and they're doing it, and then that's when I'm getting questions from people to go, what do I do with my teenager who won't listen, who ignores me, who's disrespectful and mouthy? What do I do? Well, what were you doing when they were 2? What were you doing when they were younger? That's the foundation. So when I talk about foundational skills, the foundation is what you're teaching your children. That's where they're going to build their life on. And then the skills are the walls and the rooms and the floors. They all have to be fitting together, and that foundation has to be solid for all of that to work. Otherwise, it's all going to collapse. And that's what's happening. We're not seeing these foundations being built anymore, as they should, not in every case, but in a lot of cases. I have parents saying, I want my child to like me. I don't want them to ever be unhappy. I don't ever want to tell them the word no. I don't want them to ever think I'm mean. And that's your problem. That's your problem. That's a whole nother reel in a Facebook Live. But I hope I'm getting the point across here. And I'm not trying to be mean about this or harsh about this, but I've raised 4 children. I've worked with children for 40 years. I have 8 grandchildren. I do not tolerate disrespect, never did and never will. And that's your role as a parent, to establish what will work in your house and to raise your kids that way. All right, let me just check. Okay, screen time 4 hours for kids under 5. Oh, no child under 5 even needs to have screen time. Sorry, they just don't. And I hear more excuses from parents, and we're going to maybe go a little bit over here, and we're going to talk about screen time next week. Um, no, no, no child under 5 needs screen time. I'm sorry, they just don't. Maybe a little bit of TV once in a while. They don't need screen time. Okay, and I see a question up here. When they say no at 2 years old, that's their job, Monica, to say no at 2 years old. That's what they do. Every age has job descriptions. 2-year-olds say no, they ignore you. They'll cry a lot, they'll tantrum a lot. Some of them, not all. But when they say no, you still have to ask them or move them to do what you need to have done. Okay, so 2-year-olds, you need, because they can't reason. So you say you need to do this, they look at you like, get the heck out of here, I'm going over here to play. You have to have lots and lots of patience. You have to redirect them. You have to distract them. You use praise for them. And sometimes you have to physically pick them up and move them where you want them to be. Okay? Not harshly or hurting them. You're the parent. You're in charge. You pick them up and you move them. The last thing you do with a 2-year-old is get into, I said yes. And they're like, no. And you're like, yes. They can't reason. They can't reason. Their brain is not developed enough to understand that they need to do what you're telling them to do because you're the parent, you're in charge. When they're 2, it's all about them. It's their world. If they want it, they take it. If they don't like it, they're going to scream. That's just how they're wired. But you have to understand that so that you know how to react appropriately in a positive way to it. And I know it can be so frustrating. Trust me. I raised 4 of them. I remember. Okay. Cheryl, you're a substitute teacher at a preschool. They are so disrespectful today. And I've heard that. I worked in early education for 40 years. I taught for 11 years. And I did consulting in child care centers for 20 years. I was in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of early childhood classrooms. And I watched the children and I watched the teachers. And I hear this a lot from teachers in preschool now, that kids are coming in disrespectful, which tells me they do it to their parents and they get away with it. And also I have people telling me that the parents come in and say, we don't ever want you to say no, the word no to my child here. Yeah, get over yourself is what I say. Okay. Screen time. Okay. Let's see. How do you handle a 4-year-old who thinks he's in charge? I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. If a 4-year-old thinks they're in charge of, it cut off at of, Sarah, so I don't know what they think they're in charge of, but I can tell you, no 4-year-old was ever in charge at my house. And I'm not a hateful person or mean, and I didn't abuse my kids anyway. I'm the parent. If they challenged me on everything, we would have a little come to Jesus meeting. And I didn't spank my kids, but I'm like, who do you think you are? I'm the parent. You're 4. This is my house, and you're going to do what I tell you to do here because I love you and I want what's best for you. You don't have to like it. I told my children that many times. You don't have to like it. I don't owe you an explanation. I'm your parent. Trust me. Okay. Let's see. I was back to what I missed here. Okay. I said no to my daughter, go out for lunchtime at school, but she went out. How to handle this? Well, then she has a consequence immediately. I'm understanding this right. You told her she could not leave school at lunchtime, but she did anyway. I used to do that. Anyway. Then she has a consequence when she disrespected you by disobeying you. So now she has a consequence for that. So that's either she has to do extra chores around the house, she loses a privilege, but that has to be done like immediately. So if this happened like a week ago, well, you're kind of past that time for that consequence, but you can have a discussion like you do that again and this is what's going to happen. And when you instill a consequence for a child, because that's a reaction to their action, that has to be immediate and has to be consistent. And it is not something that's like, you're grounded for a month. No, it's like, okay. And you very clearly, you were told not to leave school at lunch. You chose to. Here I go with that word chose to because that was their choice, not yours. So they are owning that behavior. You chose to go and disobey me. Now here's what's going to happen. And you lay out the consequence. And then if they do it again, that instantly gets implemented. Okay, it's not always fun. It's not always easy. Okay. The tablet saved you on a plane ride. He's 2. He played educational games. I might let that one slide. I mean, that's different, but that's not consistent. Infinity, you appreciate me being online. I love doing this. I hope it's helping parents because I get so many questions on things. Okay, I agree. People do not, children do not need to be spanked. Let me just tell you this. This is a concern for me, and we could get into this later because we're a little bit over, but I had a lady say in response to my reel about were you, as a baby boomer, were you abused or did you abuse your kids? And one of the responses was, well, I would spank my kids and they'd cry, and then I'd tell them, I love you, and hug them and make them feel better after, right? And to me, I never spanked my kids. I was not spanked. I don't believe in hitting children to discipline them. I don't believe that you hit your child, but you teach them not to hit, or you hit your child, and then in the next breath you're saying, I love you. I'm hitting you because I love you. Does that make sense? So then they equate love with being hit. Well, I'm being hit, but they love me. These are my parents who trust me, who I should trust, who are my safe space, who are doing the best for me, but they're hitting me. And I know people go, spanking is just a swat, or it's on a clothed bottom. It's still hitting. I'm not sugarcoating this. I'm not going to try to negotiate this with you. It is hitting your child. And you do you. I just feel in my house that won't happen, and it never did, and it never will. So then your child grows up and they get in a relationship and maybe they're abused. But their mind, they're like, well, they love me. Okay, they're hitting me because they love me. It's okay. And that might be a stretch, but you're following me here. You understand what I'm trying to say here? You're justifying hitting your child. And I know parents say, oh, this hurts me worse than it hurts you. No, it hurts your child worse than it hurts you. Nobody wants to be hit. Would you like it? If you are at work and you didn't do something your boss wanted you to do and they come out and whacked you upside your head, would you like it? No. Why would you do it to your child? I don't get it. I don't get it. And we can have this debate forever, and people go back to spare the rod, spoil the child. I've heard it all, trust me. No, just no. Okay. Sarah, I would say, yeah. I would say you need to maybe get him maybe talk to the pediatrician. Maybe get him to a child psychologist. Maybe. And you can DM me on this one. Okay. I see some other people coming in. Swearing at home. Swearing is learned at home. Do you think that? Yeah. Well, yes and no. Okay. And we're going to wrap up after this. We did not swear in our home for the most part. My husband once in a while may have, but we didn't. And my son got off the bus in kindergarten and asked me what the F word was. And I had heard it on the bus. And I immediately said, it's not a word we use in our house. So they, even if you don't swear at home, once they get to school and they're exposed to other kids, they can learn it, they can pick it up. And that's when you have the discussion like, it's not cool. We don't do that. Stephanie, you want to know how to teach respect to a 5 or 6-year-old? I just did 2 weeks ago. That's exactly what those rules were on. You can go back and watch those. And I have an ebook on that too. Okay, we need to go. Thank you all for being here with me. I will be back every week now. I was out for 2 weeks with this eye surgery, and I think I go for my follow-up today, but I think I got some sunburn on them this weekend. I was out at my grandson's birthday party, so they're really extra red. All right, thank you all for being here. I'll see you next week, and we're going to talk about screen time, and I'm going to teach you 5 phrases to use to cut down that disagreement when it's time to cut the screens off. All right, until then, remember, hug and love your babies. Bye, y'all.